Phishing attacks are a growing concern in the cybersecurity industry, which to me is quite strange because when I think about phishing attacks, I think about silly little nonsensical emails with links that you'd never actually click on. But I guess I've been thinking a lot about phishing and specifically the phishing attack flow and how identity access management plays a role in that. And specifically, I'm thinking about how more sophisticated phishing attacks require a more sophisticated approach to combat those attacks. And it's not just about MFA or password resets anymore. I think it's more about how identity access management works and how it fits into the incident workflows so that analysts can respond to threats faster and more efficiently. And that's why I wanted to find out exactly how modern identity access management is shaping the fight against phishing. And to learn more about that, I'm joined by Natee Pretikul. He is the principal PM at Microsoft Security, a recipient of multiple product awards, and someone who's well versed in launching new features that comply with regulations. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
I feel like in general, for the broad population, the thing that we care most about is remote attack, right? The phishing attack that happened. And you'd be surprised, like many years ago, I think lower than like 20% of people have MFA turned on, which is the easiest
Really?
thing, your your accounts and your environment. I think things get better now over time, but still we have a long way to go. Right? Because within the Microsoft world, when we look at the account not turned on MFA, like the risk is much greater. In fact, like when you turn on MFA based on our stat, 99% of the phishing attacks have been mitigated. Obviously, this is, the stat that we see at a given time. And again, there's so many layers of MFA types, so we should always evaluate based on your risk. And the most important thing is you want to have a low friction type MFA that can have high security um, kind of protection. And that's to me, passkey is all about that, right? It's easy to adopt. It's like your password, but you store a secret on your phone, on your apps, and then you can then even use biometric to prove who you are before you sign in. And to me, that's pretty exciting. I really hope that in the next, 5 to 10 years, many people stop use password completely, and then they can start
Really?
using. I hope so. And at least from my side, my personal Outlook account now don't have any password. I removed it completely because I believe that it helps save all the attack that can happen to my account. And I would encourage everyone who have like Microsoft Outlook or Microsoft Hotmail accounts to do the same. We have that option available, and you can even turn on passkey today. I know it's a it's feel weird to turn it off because you might feel like, hey, what if I lost my MFA, options to sign in? How can I get back? But in reality, you have multiple, method to sign in, right? You want to create that option. Like when you have, passwords, sometimes you have to kind of turn on multiple MFA type. It's the same thing here. And to me, that's helped to solve a lot of problems. The common contact point is that you get phishing email, right? And
Mm,
these days with AI, hackers can get more sophisticated. They can ask the AI to write a beautiful email versus in the past, you see typo or all of that. You're like, oh, this is
yeah.
not the legit email, let's delete it. But these days you have AI that empower hackers to make it more sophisticated. We all have our profile on social media that people can read and do social engineering to make it more real, right? So to me, like that is really critical around the phishing email. You need to first of all educate the end users and all of us to basically um, be smart about detecting these things, as well as how can we leverage technologies to prevent it from happening, because you can't assume every employee will be able to detect it, because many companies have their first line workers who might not have any idea about what phishing email really means. So there's a lot of components to think through, and I have to admit sometimes um, you might click accidentally, right? You might have your fat finger one day, you walk on the phone and
Yeah.
you click it. This is where like you have to have like the end-to-end strategy. So like what they call like when the incident happened, you also need to have the team that can detect it, deactivate your account quickly, and then recover, your access back with the right, protection. To me, that's the focus that I would tend to look into when it comes down to the IAM issue because phishing attack is still top of mind for a lot of CISO and customers.
You know what I find crazy about phishing attacks is that
Yeah,
so much in cybersecurity has changed in the last like 5, 10 years, and
yeah,
so much is evolving, and yet
yeah,
phishing seems like it's not changing at all because
yeah,
people are relying on human error, like you said,
yeah,
to infiltrate networks.
yeah,
But phishing, people are still sending out like emails that are like, "Hey, it's your CEO. Can you go to the store and buy me some Xbox cards?" And it still works or so like how? How have we not learned as a society to avoid
yeah.
phishing?
Yeah, it's complicated, right? When you think about large organization like many large enterprise, they have so many legacy tools, so many guests and contractors that they have to work with, right? It's hard to enforce policy. And this is where like one of the thing I'm super excited about is even Entra ID today from like the solution from Microsoft, or formerly known as Azure AD. We have the feature called conditional access auth string that you can enforce end user to use certain MFA type. Like for example, you can say, for every executive, they must use passkey to sign in to any apps that are connected to Intra ID. That's possible. In the past, you might rely on end user just use whatever, right? But now you can use the policy-driven enforcement to make the user to use certain thing that protect themselves really well. Any high profile, people inside organization need to use phishing versus MFA methods, right? On top of that, when it come down to weak point, like the help desk of the world, you need to make sure you have verification technology and processes that will prevent hacker from coming in. So those are the things that I feel like Entra ID now have a lot of technologies behind it to help our customer, and that's pretty exciting to me.
Yeah. What else had changed when Entra ID or when Active Directory became Entra ID?
Yeah, good question. In the past, we only have like this is like many, many moon backs. We just have the IAM solution called Azure AD, right? Um, and we knew that just IAM solution would not help customer to protect risk from all the access all up. We now call the strategy here is really we had to create trust fabric, right? From all the access. That's why like we now evolve from Azure AD to be Entra ID. And really we have the brand called Microsoft Entra. It's all about entrance or coming into all the access components. We have solution like network access to protect all the legacy apps, right? We also have permissions management. We have external ID to help consumer facing application to have the right access from end user, like so many access type that we now have solutions for. And that's why we now brand the product family Intra. And then we have several components that people can leverage to protect certain area. And to me, that's super exciting because in the past, when the enterprise want to enforce policy to all the access, imagine you have like legacy application that people built 25 years ago and the developer left the company. And if you want to have, let's say, when you sign into those legacy application, you must use phishing with an MFA method. In the past, when we just had Azure AD, we had to rely on third party to help solve those legacy application. Now we have our network access solution that can leverage the same policy through conditional access to make sure that our customer and the end user have consistent experience from the policy standpoint and protect all the asset in the organization correctly. And to me, that's pretty exciting about the intra ID world that we now live in. And we also have been very customer obsessed mode for quite a while around like we need to listen to customer around how can we help to protect the end-to-end access for our customer all up. And to me, that's pretty cool to be able to observe the evolution from Azure AD to Entra ID today.
And where do you think it's going?
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. We don't call it, job well done just yet, right? Because anything in life, we know that hacker also learn how to get more sophisticated. And these days, like we face more traditional attacks that happening in the world, right? So all in all, from the future perspective, I can anticipate that hacker get more sophisticated. They start using AI. To my point earlier, right? Many spammer hacker will start to kind of write beautiful email and all of that. AI will become one of the key factors that make risk become more sophisticated. So when it comes down to us, and I'm glad that Microsoft has been the forefront of the AI world, and you probably heard the brand called Microsoft Copilot. We basically leverage Copilot for security to empower organization to be smart about detecting risks. And I can give you some example here, right? When you think about um, incident, response. Sometime when you need to correlate all the risks with big data, right, with all the signal logs analysis, Copilot for security can help to summarize risk impact very quickly, right? That they can also help to provide guided response because we can't assume all the tier one analysts from like security operations center people to be able to do an effective job. Because again, like talents in the market are hard to find, and these junior analysts can leverage Copilot for security to triage risks and get the right step-by-step guidance. For
Mm.
example, like let's say the T right now, right? I work in Seattle, but I might be traveling somewhere, but usually I'm not going to Russia or to China, right? When you have some unusual signing activities, and then suddenly certain, thing that happened in my laptop got certain access that is unusual, like Copilot for security can allow these junior SOC analysts to take risks faster and come up with like a good response plan. And to me, these are like an amazing thing that I'm looking forward to see more development in this area because customer rely on Microsoft now to bring that insight, to bring the technology to help guide them to be in the secure world, right?
Right. Yeah, and with the phishing scenarios where hackers are using AI or maybe even Copilot to write
Yeah.
these email phishing emails to people is really interesting as well.
Yeah, yeah. And the piece there, I'm not sure how much you've been using Copilot. Like, we also have like ethical kind of check to see if you ask something unusual, like write phishing email type thing. Usually the product is smarter enough these days to be able to say, hey, this is not ethical. Sorry, we can't do that. This is why I
Okay.
think it's still in the early journey for many companies, I would say. But at least from my experience that I use it, I can see that there are some guardrail to make sure that we protect the product to be used in the right way, right?
Wait, are there AI chatbots specifically for hackers?
I'm not quite
Probably.
sure. I think that it might be. I mean, these days people build so many LLM-based solutions that can do so many things. But I think, from Microsoft's standpoint, we have responsibility to be able to provide responsible AI for our customer and our end users, especially when you think about like the data, right? Like our core principle, like your data is your data, right? We're not going to
Hmm.
use your data to train, foundation AI models without your consent, right? And obviously, like we have strong partnership with OpenAI, but we're never going to share the data with OpenAI team. So that's where I think I'm also glad that Microsoft is a mature company. We have good team that think through this responsible AI policy, and we publish these content online to make sure that our customer understand, like when you sign up for Microsoft AI or Copilot, like you know that we build it with security and privacy and compliance in mind, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about actually querying Copilot. What would I ask it? What specifically am I prompting it for?
We have many Copilot solution within Microsoft. Like for example, we have Copilot for Microsoft 365 that help with productivity scenario.
Yeah,
We
I
have we
guess I'm
have
asking specifically about the security product and
yeah
when you're talking about producing these storylines of what happened in the
yeah
attack.
yeah
What are you
yeah
asking it?
yeah. One basic example. You can say like, hey, can you list the top 10 most riskiest users inside the organizations and tell me why, right?
Oh.
In the past, without Copilot, you have to go through one by one to see like the risk profile, what's going on. And sometimes it might take like depends on how large of your organization, how complex of your system it can take an hour or more, right? But with Copilot, like within like less than a minute, you
Really,
get
it's that fast.
good data. Again, depends on a lot of infrastructure because many company have like, different solutions connect to each other. But if you have like simple architecture with everything stored into like into one instead of Entra ID, things will get much faster. And you have holistic view there. So yeah, it's much faster than human for sure. We have a machine speed AI that can help people to understand the risk posture better and faster, right? Um, that's why to me, like the future is bright. People sometimes worried about like, would their job going to be there in the future when it come down to AI? And to me, the answer here is that you have to learn how to use AI to secure your job in the future. And you're going to be more relevant. You're going to be able to detect risk and respond to risk much faster. And that's where, like, to me, I would encourage everyone to try out Entra ID and leverage our Copilot to learn more about the risk profile. The more you learn, the more you get to be smart about how to leverage these technology to help secure your environments. So to me, again, going back to your point, it's so important to have a good strategy across organization. It's good to document the current stage of where you at, and then start to apply the policy, the technology around, these people and process to enable you to be accomplishing your goals for the organization around security and IAM.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess Copilot can help you setting the strategy as well.
It can help to help you understand the baseline of the issue and the certain risks that are common to your organization.
Yeah.
Because securities can be like 1,000 of them that you don't even know where to prioritize. I think Copilot can help to summarize, let's say, like the top trend five risks that you faced in the past 1 year, right? And that's where like it will help you to start to build strategy that will mitigate those common risks that your organization have. And I would say that each organization have different risks, depends on, situation that you're facing. I would imagine many federal agencies in the US will face different risks than a consumer, type company that
Mm.
operate in just one location, right? So
Yeah, healthcare is very different than e-commerce for sure.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
And how
Um,
do you think that all of this, the new changes in identity access management, is going to affect your work in the future?
So first of all, the two pieces to this answer. One is from day to day, I am actually very excited that I can protect my account and my team much better. Like in my example earlier, in the past, I didn't even think about like I can delete my password from my Outlook account now. Like I feel like now I live in a world where I can start to leverage technology to help secure my account, my access better from the IAM strategy. That's to me is super exciting. Second one is within Microsoft, like we keep innovating, um, using customer feedback. I'm pretty excited about how much Microsoft now focus on security as well as how can we provide tools and controls to help organization to secure themselves better. And like I mentioned, it's not just about technologies, it's about how people will implement it from the process and people standpoint. And this is, to me, it's the most exciting part of my job, right? I can get to help to impact the world in a much better way. I can help people to secure themselves better. I can guide people to use technology the right way. And that's to me is super exciting.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a very exciting world for identity access management and
Uh,
anti-phishing that I cannot wait until we reach a world
yes.
where phishing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
I'm sure something worse will be in its place, but like
yeah,
it seems like it's such a simple thing and yet so effective, and we
yeah,
cannot control the
yeah,
user error part of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If I have only one thing to ask everyone to listen to this podcast to do is just to go back and try passkey. Like go to
Okay,
your
yeah.
Gmail account, just enable it and try it out. It's so simple and easy. And the more you start using it, it can become a norm that you will protect yourself better to all the, account that you cares about, right? Like let's say Email is everything, right? You people have access to your email, they can have access to your like banking statement and whatnot. So to me, like let's go back to any account that you have, try passkey today. That would be like my top advice for everybody who listens to the
Yeah,
podcast.
you know, I find going passwordless to be quite intimidating, but you seem fully liberated.
Yeah.
You
I've
seem
seen a
free.
lot of it's I know any change is hard, right? And like the benefit is just greater. And I think that it's important for everybody to, understand, what you sign up for. That's why I asked just to try it out. I'm not asking you to disable password like what I did with my Outlook. I'm just asking to enable it as one of the options to sign in.
Yeah,
Because without knowing what it looked like, how it feel, how it can protect your environment or your accounts, that's a baby step, right? That you can't move to beyond that if you don't do the first step. And to me, is something that I've been living this world for the past 4 or 5 years now. And I feel like uh, it's the future,
for sure. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Natee, for coming on the show. If we want to find you and what you're working on online, where can we look?
First of all, I can follow my LinkedIn. I usually post a lot of great update there around the technology from Microsoft, what I learned, who I meet, so definitely that would be the place that I would recommend people to go to for sure.
Okay, great. And hopefully next time we host another in-person event as we did last year, you will come again and speak for us. That was great. That was the Sock Tales event that we had. And I'm
Yes.
looking forward to chatting with you again in the future. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you.